Good morning. Now we are going to discuss about process unit startup and shutdown. In this subject, in lesson 3, the continuation of lesson 2, we have end up with blinds in lesson 2. So lesson 3 is discussing mainly about positive isolation. After positive isolation, we are going to discuss about confined space entry. Okay. So followed by nomogram chart. Once we finished nomogram chart, then what are the preparation for the startup and how can we start the auxiliaries, utilities, pump, flare system, those equipments we are going to discuss this entire lesson. So let's go to the next. In this slide, it's mainly discussing about various types of blind. So here you can find, at the left extreme, spectacle blind. Okay. So, or in other words, you can call it like number 8 blind. So normally spectacle blind is mainly used in on process line, utility line, in addition to that various treatment line. You got the point. So spade now they are using for end line or for expansion project. End line blind, spade blind means is a end line blind, or for the expansion of the project they are going to use. The last one is a spacer, or you may call it like reducer. Okay, so this reducer mainly is used to reduce the flow rate from one area to another area, or else you can say like for example, if I am going to increase the flow rate or decrease the flow rate of our area, you may have a CDU unit. The next unit you may call it like RFCC in the refinery. So those case, the RFCC required of like 15,000 meter cube per hour, but CDU producing 25,000 meter cube per hour. So those places in between the line, they may have 2 to 3 reducer continuously. You got the point. So these are the specialized application of each blind. Okay. So spectacle blind, spade blind and spacer blind, these are the 3 main types of blind. Out of these, spectacle is discussed about blinds. So blind, how can we store the blind? So blind they are storing in a specialized places. That is what the in a building, or you may call it like a warehouse. Okay, it is a blind boards. Blind board is nothing but like in your home you have a bookshelf. Okay, so you are keeping according to your interest, you are arranging your books in different places. So like that, in a blind, like in a plywood, in a sheet of plywood, it has a hook, and in that hook they are mentioning some of the number. You got the point. It's like it's like a board. So you can find maybe the first line maybe 10 bar pressure, for example second line maybe 15 bar, the third line for you may call it like 30 bar. So according to the pressure rating, you can say like PR, according to the pressure rating, so they have a specialized hook. They are going to store each blind. So 8 blinds, normally they are 8 blind means it's a spectacle blind. They are not going to store in a warehouse. It will be there always in line. Already I told you, is one side is closed, another side is open. You got the point. So here in this slide, the very important point is that what do you mean by blind list? Blind list is a board, is a plywood board. It has a hook. Each line maybe you may have 1, 2, like 3. Each like a board, like each row, it has a different pressure rating. According to the pressure rating, they are going to store the blind. Why? Because if any kind of emergency, sudden breakdown, okay, or if you have any problem with our plant, so those times we cannot search the blinds. Why? Because while they are storing the blind, the pressure rating is playing very important role. If we are keeping wrong blind in a particular places, the operator, he may not aware what kind of blind supposed we have to take. So if you took the wrong, like instead of using 15 bar pressure blind, if the person brought 10 bar pressure blind and he put it inside, then we are going to face a problem. So here, the blind list is very, very important. In addition to the, while they are going for, going to store in a unit. So in this slide, the main important thing, what is the significance of blind list, how they are going to store, what are the blind they will be storing inside the, warehouse. The last line, it's mainly discussed about, you can find it's the last line is mainly discussed about a processing unit may have one or more blind list. Usually it should be one and more, because the in a plant they have many line as well as n number of unit operation equipment. So they have each equipment, it has like 20 to 50 number of blinds. Okay, not like whatever we are dealing in our class. Okay, the blind list, the list of all the blind and the sizes of each blind, according to that they have to assign. Find the blind list is important to ensure that what are the things it's trying to ensure, all required blinds have been installed before anyone enters to the equipment. The idea is that before we are allowing any person, we must and should make sure that the equipment is positively isolated. That is what this point is trying to discuss about. The equipment is positively isolated. That is what they are discussing in point number 1. Point number 2, all the blinds are removed before unit, startup. The idea is that, once they have done all the repair work, for example, they have a wall, you may have a separator, just assume the wall of the separator, it may be damaged, it has a, like a crack, okay, in a wall. So they are going to replace by a metal piece. So means they are doing a batch welding. You got the point. So once they did all the maintenance job, you have unwanted debris, means, like unwanted metal pieces, we have to clean it. Okay, once we cleaned, what we are going to do, once they are cleaning, they are going to store, like, they are going for box up, that is what, close up. So once they closed the vessel, they have to be very, very careful that, there is no, like blind is there before we are allowing the raw material or purging fluid. So all the blind should be removed. So before the equipment, for example, if you have one wall this place, I am putting number 1. So before the wall as well as after the wall, they are going to keep, you can just put number 1 here. That number 1 is like a wall. Before the wall as well as after the wall, they are going to put a blind. That is called positive isolation. If I am going to allow the fluid inside, so I have to make sure that there is no blind. I have to remove this blind as well as I have to remove another blind. You got the point. Based on that, I can supply the purge fluid inside the tank or column, reactor, whatever it may be, the stuff. Okay, so the third point, what is discussing about, the third point is mainly discussing about keeping track of blind is important both for safety purpose, I told you, because pressure rating is playing the role. So we have to make sure that we have, suggested correct blind for our equipment. Otherwise we may face a problem. You got the point. So the last point, it's discussing about safety factor. Mainly if you are keeping wrong blind, according to the, according to the, time they are going to use. Okay, so this slide, it gives you an idea about how many places supposed we have to put a blind at what date to what date. Okay, so they are going to work first 1 to 10, these are the area, just assume. Okay, then another area like 20 to 30. Okay, in between the area 15 to 20. You got the point. So for that purpose only, the person as a process engineer, you have to indicate all the information. If you are not going to write, you have to inform your area wise operator. They have to fill the detail. In addition to that, while we are going for box up, we have to make sure that all the blinds are removed from this place. You can find here in this slide mainly discussing about, this is not our like mainly process engineering scope, just for our understanding, like for our extra knowledge. Normally you can find, while they are going for a design of a blinds, they must and should have a CAD CAM diagram. According to the CAD CAM diagram, like you can find like ANSYS, CAD and ProE, like some of the mechanical engineering software they are going to use for the design of a blinds. So according to their design, the thickness should be prepared. So what size of, according to ASME, you can say, like American Society for Mechanical Engineers. So they are going to give you an idea, this much width, this much thickness, okay, for a spectacle blind, pedal blind, okay, as well as spacer. For different kind of blind they are going to use. The bottommost part is trying to give you, like 1500, pressure rating of a blind. It just understand. The continuation in this slide, the very important thing, what do you mean by running blind? So running blind, you can say running blind is a special blind to be aware of. Is a running blind. You can find either certain lines, means like level indicator, those places, especially vent or drain, they are calling as a running blind. If you are taking any equipment, you all are aware, while the unit is going to run, okay, while I am going to run the unit, okay, just assume it's like a reactor, okay. So here, while I am going to run the unit, I have to close that vent as well as I have to close the like drain. You just assume they are collecting this place, okay. I have to close the drain as well as I have to close the vent. So these two part of an equipment we must and should close. If it is a reactor or column or separator, anything, you got the point. So that's why, if normally all the blinds, while they are going for maintenance, they are going to put the unit, close. Unit in the sense the blinds. But in case of running blind, the unit is on, that time we are putting, off. That's why we are calling as a running blind. Okay. See, blowers are a huge fans, we all are aware, must force the air into the vessel, such as reactor or wash drum, to ventilate the vessel and replace the inert gas, means the purge fluid, maybe the nitrogen, helium, argon or CO2, okay, using atmospheric air. Air mover, what is that air mover? You all are aware, it's like, you can say like a air dryer. So air mover are the, they are going, it's a piece of equipment that operate on a Venturi design, flow property characteristics. That is why they are putting Venturi design, and create drafts inside the vessel. A distillation column may have several blowers. I have shown the diagram, I have drawn the diagram for you, okay, at a varying heights on the tower to ensure at a constant. Discussing about, how the air mover is works. In addition to that, what are the special significance of nomogram chart? The first line is discussing about, sometimes they are using, like some exhaust fan. So it will suck the air and throwing away. That is what push and pull effect. You got the point. They are going to use like exhaust fan. Even in your kitchen, you can you can see. It will push the, it will push the air, the smoke, and okay, it will pull and push. Okay, like that they are putting push and pull effect. Nomogram chart are the, okay, based on the volume of the space and the capacity of the blower, can readily give you the minimum purging time. That is the advantage of nomogram chart. In addition to that, you can able to say, like, while if we are using n number of blower, you just assume the adjacent unit, it has a boiler area, or they have generator section, it may release more amount of CO2. If I am using that CO2 for our suction side, like air for the blower, then the person have to face, fatality, means unwanted consequences. That is what they are calling it here, hydrofoxia. You got the point? So they are putting here that point only. You see, the air on the suction side of the blower become contaminated with an exhaust of the gasoline motor powering the blower. So the last point, the high level of carbon monoxide, it may leads the person to die. The next, already I have explained for you. This is very very important. You must and should know how to draw. You can keep one to another, like 1000 and 2000, you can keep 2 centimeter gap. Based on that you can draw 1000 to 10,000, the right side 300 to 1500, diagonal line you can draw approximately. Purging time in the unit of minute. So here we must and should know, if I gave you meter cube to foot, you must and should be able to convert. In addition to that, second to minute, you should know that. This is what important area. You can read from the left side extreme what they are discussing about the same thing. Let's go to the next slide. So although the nitrogen is very common purge gas because it's non-toxic, it may causing frequent fatalities. That is what, if you have purge fluid as a nitrogen we are using in a hydrocarbon industry. Why? Because nitrogen they are calling as a inert gas. What is mean by inert gas? Inert means it does not have any kind of unwanted reaction. Even if you have a moisture, if you have oxygen environment, it does not create any unwanted reaction. But you cannot able to smell. Is odorless, tasteless, flameless. It does not catch a fire. So, but if we have that gas inside to the reactor, the person may die. So we have to maintain that sufficient amount of oxygen. That's why we are trying to calculate minimum purging time using nomogram chart. You can use even for your company calculation in future. If a vessel is purged with nitrogen and not well ventilated, means there is no sufficient air circulation inside the vessel, the workers who enter, it will die from lack of oxygen. Already I told you, the lack of oxygen, the person they are facing a problem, that is what, hypoxia. Don't forget. You can use this slide, this information for your, how can I do the positive isolation for any kind of vessel. If it is a refinery kind of equipment, you can pick the point from this slide. It's discussed about the procedure about positive isolation. Point number 1 is discussing about, we are going to isolate the equipment, to avoid the entry of hydrocarbon as well as toxic gases. Means initially we are closing, then we are drying the vessel to remove the liquid when the system is having a pressure, means depressurizing. After ensuring the complete draining of the vessel, so they are releasing, means depressurized, and that gas we are using a flare, we are burning to the atmosphere with as a CO2 and CO and like SO2. You can that purge the vessel with nitrogen to get hydrocarbon of 10% LEL, means this is purging. So you have to make sure that always in the refinery H2S, the level should be very very less because of the sulfur, it creating problem. Toxic gases using gas analyzer. This slide, how can you do positive isolation, means you can write the steps. We are going to isolate the unit. Once you isolated, we are draining. Once we drained, you are going to do purging using inert gas. If the vessel, if it is like viscous nature material, then steam purging. If we have a catalyst bed, then we are going for a natural gas purging. You can recall your unit 2, the lesson 2. Then further they are going to check LEL value. If you have LEL more than 10%, again you have to increase the purging as much as possible. Already we know that how many number of cycle we have to do the purging. That is what we have discussed in previous classes. So the next slide is next, the next half of the lesson is discussing about process unit startup. We have discussed from lesson 1 how can we do the planning, like normal shutdown planning, work scope planning, then operation and SHE planning, followed by shutdown. What are the preparation for the shutdown? Then how can I do a single, how can I do unit shutdown? Okay, in lesson 2, once we did shutdown, we are going to clear the unit clear. We have focused some of the important area, followed by different kinds of purging. Okay, so now after purging, they are doing positive isolation using blind, then confined space entry. Now we are getting inside to the process unit startup. Before we are going to do the startup, what are the things we have to make the things ready? The main thing is that raw material. Okay, if we are going to deal crude oil, raw material is very important. Crude oil, if it is a petroleum product, if we have ammonia and urea, according to that the nitrogen, okay, and the hydrogen gas, like production. If I am going to produce a milk and milk allied product, we have to keep that raw milk. If it is a bakery goods, according to that the powdered form of the raw material. If it is biscuit, again that dairy unit product, pharmaceutical product, according to that. So the raw material is very important. Then the utility side, we cannot start the utility after we are supplying the raw material inside the process unit. So we have to make the things, utility should be prepared before 5 hour and 6 hour according to the capacity of the plant. And equipment requirements, so like flare system should be switched on before starting the unit, you all are aware. Okay, or to be intimated well in advance, raw material, utility section. Then maybe pressure requirement, like maintenance area, treatment unit is always running on, but we have to make sure that, okay, so like cooling water supply, so those area we have to intimate well in advance. Startup present as much as opportunity as shutdown for chemical spills. Sometimes lack inexperienced employee, freshers, if they are putting inside, like fresh operator, he may not have an idea. So if he is not fixing the wall, or the maintenance crew, if they are not tightening the bolt according to the required torque, then it has a spill and it may lead an accident. So we have to we have to be very careful. Okay, planning for startup, what are the things they are going to arrange? So like while they are going before going to the startup, you have to make sure that in your pipe, like a column or reactor, they are going to connect some new, new lines. Sometimes they are removing some line. So you have to make sure that all the lines, all the checklists are up to date, or we have to change the, checklist data. Updated procedure. So according to the new modification, we have to change the procedures. Okay, update the procedure and complete the startup checklist as per the sequence. Okay, as per the step-by-step procedure, step-by-step manner. Since too many fires and equipment damage, injuries may occur during the startup. Sudden kind of like supply to the equipment, the uncontrolled steam flow, uncontrolled air. You got my point. So it may uncontrolled, like if you are mixing two like raw material, those case one and another, if you are doing wrong way, like 60-40, instead of that you are putting like 40-60, then it has a negative reaction. So we have to make sure that. So principally, because unit procedure were not up to date, were not followed, or verification of turnaround repair were not thorough. So we have to make sure in your planning. Okay, arrange additional manpower for operation and supervision for assistance and guidance. While we are in shutdown, as well as while we are in startup, we must and should have an additional hand. Okay. Similarly, to take care other departments like instrumentation, like mechanical, because of utility side, sometimes we may have a problem, relay issue, so electrical side, so we must and should have an information. You have to inform them, okay, because of unexpected failure. We cannot stop the plant all the time, okay. So none of the company, they are interested to close, okay, extend the turnaround time. Since lot of equipments are to be taken in a line simultaneously, you know that we are not going to switch on one equipment or two equipment. It has a many, like thousands of equipments. Availability of more field operator is to be ensured, so we were in need of additional hands. Do not make any hasty decision. If you have a doubt, don't go for like closing or opening. Try to call the concerned person while encountering with unexpected situation to bring back the plant in a line as per the schedule, okay. Ensure that operating procedure for the startup, are they going to follow occupational safety health hazard analysis, okay, as per the safety standard. Then the MOC, management of change, is to be in order, and change in procedure, design as well as instrument, the range, are they changed or not. So these are the things we have to prepare before we are going for a startup. In upcoming lesson, we are going to discuss about preparation, then how can we start a single unit startup, followed by what are the auxiliary things, you may call it like different way, like commissioning of utility. In between that, we are going to study about PSSR and like post safety review, pre safety review as well as post safety review, okay, in upcoming class. I hope you are getting the stuff. Everything will be easy, okay. These are the references, okay. Spiegel process technology plant operation, okay. Thomson Delmer learning, as well as some of the case studies we have we have collected from our internet sources. Thank you so much for our listening. Thanks a lot.